Hello, my name's Tyler Richard, and I'm with the Lancaster County Democrats. Today I wanted to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, Meg Michael Leichek, who is one of the city council candidates at this year's at-large city council race. The primary for this election will be April 9th. Meg, I know you've been spending a lot of time talking to your friends and neighbors, and I just was hoping that you could introduce yourself like you have been when you've been knocking on doors recently.
Well, I'm Meg Michael Leichek. I'm originally from Wisconsin. I did my undergrad at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I decided right after that to get my law degree, so I came to UNL and completed my law degree in 2011. And once you graduate law school, you have a lot of decisions to make. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do with yourself? And I just wanted to stay in Lincoln. So I bought a home here, and I started law practice here immediately after graduation because there were so many people in Lincoln and in the state of Nebraska that I felt didn't have equal access to legal services, and I wanted to be able to help them. So what I do is I focus a lot on low-income families, survivors of domestic abuse, children, the elderly population, and disabled individuals, mental incapacity or otherwise, and trying to help them. I also focus a lot on the LGBT community, and I've done a lot of pro bono name changes, which actually you know, with Outlink, we've partnered up before. So I just try to focus on vulnerable populations and help them overcome whatever issue it is they have. We reduce our fees a lot. We set up payment plans for people. So that's a lot of the reason I thought City Council would be a natural progression for me. I've really enjoyed helping individuals that maybe haven't always thought that the system could help them, and now I want to do that in my community as well. I want to be able to help everybody be treated equally and gain equal access to services and make sure everybody in our community is protected.
So it sounds like you've done a lot of fantastic casework. I'm wondering if there's one or two cases that stand out as cases you're really proud of.
Well, I have to be careful with client confidentiality, but I think most every case I've worked on, I've poured my heart and soul into, and I'm really proud of that. There's one case in particular where I've helped a 94-year-old lady in the state of Nebraska overcome some issues that were causing her a lot of stress and consternation, and we won, and we got her what she wanted and needed and what was best for her. And we've also improved the quality of her life. And I know this because she was a very unhappy individual who you know, was kind of calling different individuals around town, causing a ruckus, and now she's just happy. She writes me happy Easter cards, and we're just very happy to see one another, and I'm really happy to see her quality of life has improved, particularly at this late stage where, you know, she's 94 and she deserves to have a happy life, and she wasn't having that because the legal system was against her. So that's one. I think some of my guardian ad litem work, as I get more into it, will be really rewarding because you can just see so much progress so quickly, and people that really needed assistance and maybe just didn't know how to find their resources or find the services available to them. And again, I think that's why I'd be great at City Council too, because I'm great at seeing what people need and helping them self-empower. And so, yeah, I wish there was more I could talk about. I probably can talk a lot too about the stuff I've done with LGBT families. I think you know, people recognize me as an attorney who's done a lot of work in that community, just because I think it's the right thing, and everybody should be able to have the same dignity and respect under the law and be treated fairly and not discriminated against. So I'm very proud of the pro bono work that we do at our firm. I have a law clerk, Misty Christo, who also has really worked hard to make sure that these families, whether it's in Kimball or Lincoln or Sarpy County, that they're able to be recognized as a family. And we've also filed some same-sex divorce cases that we'll see how that plays out. But every case I get to advocate, you know, I feel good. I don't know if that answers your question.
That does. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that. You said that you came to Lincoln for law school. What were some of the things that got you to stay in Lincoln and buy a house here, call Lincoln home? And then how do your city council priorities match up with those things that have kept you here in Lincoln?
Okay. I may not remember that entire question. I'll start with the beginning. Why did I stay in Lincoln? Well, actually, why I came to Lincoln, Lincoln felt like it was the city that was just about to be on the rise. Transitions were already happening in 2008 when I came here just to tour. And I thought Lincoln seemed more special and more like the type of city I wanted to be in than a place like Seattle. The people in Lincoln are just the nicest, friendliest people, and the sense of community here is something that I think is really special and not easy to find across the country. I think it's partially the Midwest, and I'm from the Midwest, so I wanted to maintain that kind of lifestyle. And then just as I've been here, I've been welcomed into a variety of different communities, whether it be, you know, the northeast area of town, and when I coached over there and did Big Brothers Big Sisters, or the downtown area and the Meadowlark, you know, coffee house. People have been really friendly and helpful. The environmental groups, the legal field here. The legal field here is great. You know, I hear in New York City we would be a lot different as colleagues than we are in Lincoln, Nebraska. So the people are a big reason I'm here. I also like the size of the city. I like that it's expanding, but that it's not a concrete jungle. I like that we have this great focus on green initiatives and how can we build as a city without damaging the green space around us and damaging the environment around us. The Lincoln Public School System is fantastic. I've been privileged enough to be a mentor in the Lincoln Public School System. I mentor a very gifted student in social studies, and working within the schools has been, it's just been a privilege. And I think kids get a really great education here, and the teachers here in Lincoln really care about their students and want to see everybody succeed. So I think those are a few reasons. It's an easy enough town to navigate in terms of getting across town if you have a car. I will say that. If you have a car, it's not a bad town to get around. So, and it's close to Omaha if you need something that Lincoln doesn't provide. Like, I don't think my air service here to get to where I need to go is always great, but, you know, I love Lincoln.
Great. And so what are your, you mentioned a lot of different things. What are your kind of top 3 priorities when it comes to policies that you're going to advocate for in the City Council?
You know, I started out this race just 5 weeks ago thinking that my top 3 priorities were sustainability, strong neighborhoods, and public safety. And I still really think those are my 3 priorities. But as I've talked to the folks around town, knocking doors, riding the bus, and just talking to the person sitting next to me, I've realized that within those categories, I think there are specific things that need to be addressed. Our public transportation is really in need of being addressed, both from a sustainable standpoint, a strong neighborhood standpoint, and a public safety standpoint. And I can just quickly walk you through how each of those things apply. As this city grows and continues to want to be considered one of the best cities in the nation, I think it's important that we continue to focus on being energy efficient. Being energy efficient is economically sensible. It saves the city a bunch of money. It saves taxpayers money by not having to fill their cars with gas and not having to pay for parking. Taking the bus or other means of public transportation is fantastic. So, and it also is good for the earth. You save gas. In terms of strong neighborhoods, we want our city to be self-sufficient, self-reliant, as everybody wants that, I guess. So when I think about public transportation, that's a way for people to get to their jobs. That's a way for children to get to school. That's a way for people to get to their worship services or the grocery store, the hospital. And if people don't have the ability to get to those resources, their quality of life is much lower. And those neighborhoods struggle because those people are struggling. So I think we really need to make sure that everyone has access to public transportation in order for our neighborhoods to stay strong, because people have a good quality of life and can take care of more than just their immediate need, if that makes sense. And then public safety too. I've heard of stories in Air Park area, Arnold Heights, where kids are waiting out really early in the morning. There's no public lighting, and they're waiting to take the city bus downtown to transfer to take it back out to their school. And I need to learn more about this because I'm not 100% sure why all of that's happening. But I know if I had a 5th grader, I wouldn't want her standing outside at 6 in the morning, or him standing outside at 6 in the morning with no light, waiting for a bus to go downtown and then to transfer back. I think that's a safety concern. So one thing from my 3, reasons I want to run one thing I'd really like to tackle is public transportation. And I think it's a great opportunity to have a new city council person, city council woman, who wants to impose some innovative new ideas when StarTran also has a new director coming in. So there's no prior relationship for anybody, and we both can go in, start forging this great relationship, and come up with creative, innovative ideas to take StarTran to the next level, give more people access to public transportation, and to make sure that Lincoln as a city is keeping up with other cities of the same size growing at the same rate. That was sort of long-winded, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So what prompted you to look into this public transportation situation?
Well, like I said, you know, you start out running, and you just think, well, I believe in sustainability and communities and safety. And then you start talking to people. And actually, it was just a neighbor 2 houses down from me who said, I just said, well, what issues? You know, this is what I'm running on, but how does that play into what you want for Lincoln? He said, well, I'm a bus driver, and I'll tell you right now, these are my concerns. So I just thought, well, I wonder if that's really an issue. We're not really talking about that at the city council level in the campaigning. So I'm going to ask some more people. So I asked a mother who explained to me that her children, you know, this was a big problem, and she had some very elaborate carpooling with her neighbor and their children who were all in different schools. So then there was this moment, we were in a meeting for one of my clients, and I just was frustrated because she needed to get her child to an appointment, and she wasn't making it to that appointment. And I finally just said, you have to do this. Why aren't you doing this? Because I had no idea. Well, the bus didn't run late enough, so she had no car. So I thought, well, this is clearly an issue for a variety of different demographics. So then I rode the bus to see if it's easy, if it's challenging, if it goes where I need it to go. And I found that I couldn't figure out how to get on the bus from my house, so I had to start downtown. And then I took it to where I needed to go. It was all great, met a lot of nice people on the bus. Missed the bus, though, trying to get back downtown, and was stranded for an hour because it only runs once an hour.
On Saturdays?
On Saturdays, yes, and this was a Saturday. So I can see how it would be very challenging if I was someone who was going to a job interview and I'd missed my bus. Well, there goes the job. I mean, those are very basic things I'm not sure people really take into consideration when we talk about StarTran. I know ridership, a lot of people argue, is low. Ridership might be low because the bus is not meeting the needs of the people that would be using it most. I think there are a lot of issues that need to be readdressed. But talking with the people that are going to be using the bus or who maybe aren't using the bus but would, that's how I've been looking into these issues. And that's what I would do as a city councilwoman. I would talk to as many people as I can. I mean, you maybe are getting this from the interview. I can just chat, and I love talking with people. So. Yeah.
Definitely. One of the things I know you've been talking about in other conversations is community learning centers. Do you want to talk a little bit about why that's something that you have some concerns about?
Community learning centers are very, very important, especially in the communities that they're in. For a lot of families, it's a way for them to gain extra knowledge and to really feel self-reliant within those communities and those schools. Some of the issue, of course, is funding. And that's an issue for all of the things all of us want to achieve as city council people, funding. Josh Kramer with Lincoln Public Schools and I have had some conversations about, well, how can we keep these CLCs and get funding when, as a big, broad program, we may have a harder time. And one of the ways you could do that is to bring the neighborhoods in and make the learning centers small, not smaller, but you don't take it as an entire program. You take it within the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. For example, Everett, or we'll just take Everett because that's what I'm thinking of right now. And you would get private partnerships involved more. They're already involved. We need them involved more. We would need to do some neighborhood fundraising. But the great thing of getting the neighborhood more involved is, again, that idea of a strong community. So you've got neighborhoods involved, you've got private partnerships giving more money, you can do some fundraising, you can get more information out to the neighborhoods as to why these programs are important. Because I'm not sure that a lot of people who don't have children understand what a CLC does or why it's important. And again, that idea of if everybody's quality of life in a community is good and strong, and everybody is helping one another within Everett or near South or Havelock, where have you, The quality of the city improves. Everything improves. We're a better city. We're already the happiest city, right? So let's keep that up. Let's make sure that we're protecting these areas. My fear is if we don't figure out a CLC solution, the most vulnerable pockets of our population are the ones most heavily hit by funding cuts. So again, I think we just need to break down the CLCs into neighborhood by neighborhood. I think that's what I was trying to say earlier when I couldn't figure it out. But break it down neighborhood by neighborhood and encourage more private investment and more neighborhood fundraising. And I think neighborhoods are receptive to that as well. I've been going to a bunch of neighborhood association meetings, and the neighborhoods are really behind their schools. We have great neighborhood associations. So I think, again, it just takes the right person to come in with some new innovative ideas and some new skill sets, perhaps. As an attorney, I think I'm pretty good at least, at getting everybody to come together and work out some issues, whereas maybe other people don't have that skill set, the negotiation skills or the mediation type skills that we use on a day-to-day basis at Kirk and McLeod. So.
And you also are on the board of Community Action of Lincoln and Lancaster County. Has that influenced your interest in community learning centers at all?
Well, I think I'll speak more broadly. Being on the board of Community Action and on the Policy Council of Head Start, Early Head Start, has made me much more aware of the issues that Lincoln communities and the smaller communities within Lincoln, I suppose, and the families are facing. I've seen Head Start, Early Head Start be a great program in Lincoln. They just went through their 5-year assessment. They did fantastic. And we have the new EduCare program, which is, from what I hear, the kids love it and it's going really well. So for those programs to sort of continue on at the elementary level, I think it's very important. I think the skills that families gain through Early Head Start are skills that need to be continued on throughout education. We can't just drop it off at kindergarten. And the community action involvement as well has made me much more aware of the levels of low income and poverty in Lincoln. I don't think people realize, I certainly did not realize that the poverty level is at about $22,500 for a family of 4. But it takes about $45,000 a year for that family to actually survive. And the number of families living below 45,000, it's a pretty high number. So that has also motivated me as a city council hopeful to really look at what are these creative ways, like saving the CLCs through private partnerships and neighborhood fundraising, that we can save these services that really benefit those vulnerable families. So
you mentioned the amount of families in Lincoln that are living below the poverty line. One of the things that I know is attached to that is housing. What are some of your plans for taking care of housing situations in Lincoln, homes that just haven't been taken care of and the families haven't had the resources to make a lot of that particular home? I know you live in an area, we both live in an area of town that has been officially declared blighted. What's your plan for dealing with that situation?
Well, I'll say first, I specifically chose Near South because I think it's a community and a neighborhood that you can tell that the potential for greatness, and a lot of greatness already exists in that neighborhood. These great old homes with, oh my gosh, my house isn't very big and it's not very fancy, but the details from the 1920s in it are amazing. And I think it's really important to preserve homes like that because those homes were the beginnings of Lincoln, I think. And what I would like to see happen is more low-income and young families having access to purchasing homes. And there are ways we can do that. NeighborWorks is this great program. I had been looking into it actually when I was looking to buy my home. And Sean Reeb and I have had many a conversation since this started as to how we can get more people in homes and home ownership. Again, that goes back to strong neighborhoods. If we have people owning homes, there's more accountability and there's more responsibility and there's a sense of pride that comes with owning a home and taking care and wanting it to be a nice place to be. If we can help people get self-reliance through home ownership, they're also building financial equity in a way that you can't really build financial equity otherwise. Owning a home is like, it's the big thing people purchase in their lifetime. When I was in law school, I did my capstone, actually, seminar paper on low income and how we help low income families who are maybe not as financially literate as, you know, the middle class, how we help them become self-reliant through banking, through home ownership, through microeconomics. And so I think I could really use a base of that research to help figure out new ways we can get these families into those homes. Of course, the flip side of that is a lot of those homes in our neighborhood, in other neighborhoods around town, are owned by landlords, and that's not a bad thing. I think the challenge becomes, how do we make sure that these homes are being upkept without penalizing the people living in the homes? Because I think one of the big concerns I have is if, you know, the Jones family, and I'm not speaking of anyone, I'm just making that up, the Jones family is living in apartment X, and apartment X is falling apart, and maybe the water isn't working, and then the city finds family Jones. Well, it's not really family Jones's fault or responsibility, and if they had the finances to not live in that home, they wouldn't be. Right. No one wants to live in that home if they don't have to. So how do we make landlords more accountable and more responsible? How do we get more people in these homes as homeowners? And perhaps how do we transform some of these beautiful big homes in the downtown district or other places? How do we convert them back from apartments to maybe 2 families, duplexes, or just to get more people homeowning? I know Clinton Neighborhood Association, we talked a lot about the density in the neighborhood because of apartments. That's an issue I'd like to take on. I don't have the answer right now, but I'm really interested in figuring out how we take that on and working with people like organizations like NeighborWorks and other organizations too. You know, I think the Center for People in Need, Betty Brash has said she'd like to look into new programs. Community Action, I'm sure, is a great place for people to get more resources to help them. So that's what I would like to do. And I'm kind of this person who really likes to take on as much as she possibly can and really get into the meat of it. And I think that home ownership is a situation where you need someone who can just get in and root around and figure out what is the best solution. So.
Well, even though you're obviously someone who's very passionate about your work and very passionate about the issues that you work on, I know that that's not all there is to you. When you walk into your law firm, there's this beautiful mural that I believe you painted yourself on the wall.
Well, I can't take full credit. Melanie Kirk, my partner, came up with the graphics. But yeah, I do really love the arts. For a while, I thought I'd be an art major at the University of Wisconsin, and it was kind of decided as a family decision that perhaps I would do better in like public service. But I paint and I draw. I haven't had a ton of time for it lately. I've been running a campaign and a business and volunteering. But I do try to stay involved with that. You know, I'm looking forward to the spring because I also plan to plant a garden and work on my compost. I made a compost bin last fall out of recycled material, and I have a bunch of stuff composting in it, but now I'm not sure the next step, if it's ready to be sprinkled out, if it's still decomposing. So gardening and being outside are another thing that I'm really looking forward to hopefully doing. Sprucing up my front yard. There's really not much going on out there yet. I'd like to figure out how to put a rain garden in my front yard. I'm not sure how that's going to work either. But
well, I think there are some fantastic organizations in Lincoln that can help you with that as well.
And I think I've already been speaking with some of them, so yes.
And you're also a runner, correct?
Yes. In fact, I was training for an ultramarathon right before I decided to run for this, which is much more of a sprint, I've realized. This is completely opposite from my ultramarathon. Running has been a passion of mine since I was in high school. I was a cross-country runner, and I did really well there. I coached at Lincoln for 2 years at Lincoln Lutheran as kind of an assistant to varsity, and I really enjoyed my time there. For multiple reasons, I just didn't have the time, and you know, they had a different program, but I've made some amazing contacts there, and you know, through running, you kind of, it's almost like meditation or therapy for people. You know, you work out your problems, and it's healthy. And running with high school kids is really fun because you also get to hear about, you know, so-and-so's going with so-and-so to homecoming, and you kind of get to mentor a little as you're also, you know, working out. So
fantastic.
Yes, I'm a big runner.
So Meg, if someone wanted to learn more about you, where would they go to find out a little bit more about you and the things that you hope to do for Lincoln? Well,
I have a website, www.megforcouncil.com. we didn't think Michael Lychek would be good in the HTTP thing. You can also look me up on Facebook, and if you go to the website, I believe you can link straight over to Facebook. So again, you don't have to try to spell the name. Again, you don't have to spell it, you just have to recognize it on the ballot, right? And on Facebook, we have Meg Michael Lychek for council, or city council. And I also have a personal page, although I haven't been doing much of anything with that, so it's pretty useless. Those are two great ways, I think, to find out more about me. On the website, we've been doing video blogging a little bit, and I'd like to get more into that. This will probably show up on my website as well. And we have a little bio. But I really welcome people just to send in questions and just get in touch with me. I'm happy to sit down with any person in Lincoln and have a conversation about what's important to Lincoln, how can we make Lincoln an even better city, and what do we need from our city council people moving forward. I think it's kind of arrogant to assume that I know what the city of Lincoln needs or wants. So I want to have conversations with people, especially in an at-large position where we're representing the entire city. I need to know what everybody thinks and what's important.
Absolutely fantastic. So the primary elections on April 9th. What are you going to spend doing in just the last minute here? What are you going to be spending your next couple of weeks doing to get ready for that primary?
Well, I'm going to change out of my heels as soon as this is over and put on boots and go marching around Lincoln, door to door. We'll be doing a lot of that, a lot of phone calling. We have this great team of high school and college kids who are going door to door for us too. We have a couple great fundraisers. Tyler, you're generously throwing me one. So we just need to get through the primary, and that's when I think things get really good. And we really take off. We've been so busy, and we haven't had a chance to sit and think. So let's get through April 9th, and please vote for me April 9th, and then again May 7th. And I would just love the opportunity to represent the city of Lincoln. So.
Well, Meg, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, my name's Tyler Richard, and I'm with the Lancaster County Democrats, and I've been talking to my friend Meg Michael Lychek, who is one of 3 Democrats running for the at-large city council seats. Thanks so much for joining me today.